Hello, I'm Nima Rajan, and this is the Forum Daily Update for Monday, July 20th, 2020. The RCMP, Alberta's Occupational Health and Safety Ministry, and the Transportation Safety Board are all investigating Saturday afternoon's fatal rollover accident on the Columbia Icefield between Banff and Jasper. 3 people died and 14 of the 24 survivors are in hospital with life-threatening injuries. The bus rolled off the road to the glacier and landed upside down on a rocky slope. The company says it has taken more than 16 million passengers out onto the ice since the early 80s and never had a fatality. Well, with the support of the Bloc Quebecois, the Liberals will likely get a bill to extend the wage subsidy program passed in Parliament today. The program is being extended to December, and the Liberals want to loosen eligibility requirements so that businesses can reopen and employ workers even if trade is slow at first. MPs are also expected to approve a measure that will send a special one-time payment of $600 to people with disabilities. Well, meanwhile, the 31 members of the Bloc Quebecois caucus are throwing their support behind leader Yves-François Blanchet after he was accused of sexual misconduct more than 20 years ago. In an anonymous Facebook post, Mr. Blanchet has been accused of forcing himself on a woman in the washroom of a Montreal bar when he was a manager in the music business. During a news conference yesterday, Mr. Blanchet again denied the allegation, saying that it does a disservice to real victims of sexual assault. A team of Canadian Transportation Safety Board investigators is in Paris to witness the downloading of data from the flight recorders of a Ukrainian passenger jet that was shot down by Iran in January. Ottawa spent 4 months pressuring Tehran to turn over the black boxes, which were finally sent to Paris on Saturday. 55 Canadian citizens and 30 permanent residents were among the 176 people who died in the crash. Well, moving to London now, where UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab is considering suspending Britain's extradition treaty with Hong Kong after China imposed a tough new national security law. As tensions have grown with Beijing, Secretary Raab has said it can no longer be business as usual. He is reportedly planning to follow the example of the United States, Australia, and Canada by suspending the treaty with Hong Kong. The review comes only days after Britain backtracked on plans to give Chinese telecommunications company Huawei a role in the UK's new high-speed mobile phone network. In the U.S., top Republicans in Congress are expected to meet with President Donald Trump and the White House today to discuss the next COVID-19 aid package. This as the president continues to insist that the virus will disappear. However, that doesn't match projections from leading health professionals that are straining to halt the alarming caseloads and the death toll across the U.S. The United States has registered more coronavirus infections and a higher death count than any other country at 140,500. Well, Walmart Canada plans to invest $3.5 billion over the next 5 years in technology upgrades, renovating 150 stores and building 2 new distribution centers. The retail giant says the projects will create hundreds of construction jobs. Walmart is working on technology that will let customers use their mobile devices to pay for purchases anywhere in the store. Beekeepers in Manitoba say this year's cool spring has meant fewer bee swarms, but they warn that incidents are again on the rise. John Russell and a team of novice beekeepers say they got called to a home west of Winnipeg where thousands of honeybees were clustered in a maple tree. Dubbed the Swarm Patrol, the team relocates the bees to more suitable places like a canola field. Mr. Russell says with wild colonies diminishing, it is imperative to save every swarm. Meanwhile, a marathon European Union summit is taking a break after 4 days of tense meetings. At issue is an unprecedented €1.85 trillion budget and coronavirus recovery fund to tackle the crisis. The negotiations have pitted a group of 5 wealthy northern countries against southern nations that are hit hardest by the pandemic. The leaders are scheduled to resume the meeting this afternoon. After the stock market closes for the day in London, we're going to get early test results from Oxford University researchers that are working on a COVID-19 vaccine. This is one of about 24 vaccines being worked on by top facilities around the world. The chair of the UK Vaccine Task Force says the early data is definitely encouraging. Based on the preliminary research, the British government has ordered 100 million doses of the vaccine. And in South Africa, the health minister says no one should be turned away at the gate for coronavirus care, as public hospitals come under growing pressure from the pandemic. The country now ranks 5th in the world in virus caseload with more than 364,000 cases and makes up more than half of the confirmed infections in Africa. Deaths have surpassed 5,000. Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize told reporters that they will be reducing pressure on hospitals by increasing the number of beds, and private hospitals will also help. Well, drive-in movies have been making a comeback amid the COVID-19 pandemic, leading theater companies to come up with unique new ways to catch a flick while staying safe. Beyond Cinema, an Australian production company, is bringing floating boat cinema to cities worldwide, with a stop in Pittsburgh in September. The cinema will be made up of 12 to 24 mini boats, each holding up to 8 people, with tickets requiring a group to rent out the entire boat to allow for social distancing. Floating boat cinema will also be heading to St. Louis on September 9th and later to Houston, Chicago, Miami, Orlando, New York, Austin, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Columbus, and Cincinnati, as well as 3 cities in Canada. Well, looking forward to that. That'll do it for today's news update. I'm Nima Rajan, and I'll see you next time.